horror stories, creepy stories, and yeah. So I think I even got a comment on my previous video about a folklore surrounding Greek mythology. I can't remember the title, but I will be making a video on that also. Do keep a lookout in my future videos. So I hope you have been enjoying my previous videos. I've been trying out new like a background, with campfire sounds, rain sounds, to add on to the effect. A more relaxing, calming storytelling experience. I think that's nice. So I don't know. I haven't decided the background or the sounds for this video, but let's see. Okay. Today I have folklore stories again. Today we have folklore stories from Indonesia. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 folklore tales today. I think these are pretty scary. Some are a bit disturbing, some are scary, creepy. So I think you'll enjoy it if you like scary stories with ghosts. Okay, so I just want to emphasize these are legends. I am not sure if these are true or just hearsay. And I'm also not saying that my research is 100% correct. I don't know, because with legends you always get multiple versions, multiple variations. So I did my best and I came up with these stories. So I just want to put it out there. It's just for entertainment. So, and also there are a lot of words, a lot of Malay or Indonesian words that I will probably mispronounce. I am very sorry. I don't speak Malay or Bahasa Indonesia, so I am very sorry if I mispronounce. I will try my best to pronounce it as correctly as possible, okay? Okay, story number 1 is titled Wewe Gombel. In Indonesian folklore, Wewe Gombel is a spirit with a disturbing purpose. She preys on children who are neglected or mistreated by their families. Wewe Gombel was once a woman betrayed and ridiculed by those around her. After her tragic death, she became a spirit determined to protect vulnerable children from harm. But her methods are frightening and misunderstood. She is often described as a woman with long hair and an unnatural grin, haunting the dense forest and lonely pathways. Wewe Gombel is feared not only for her ghastly appearance, but because of her twisted sense of justice. She punishes parents who mistreat or neglect their children, stealing the young ones away and taking them into her realm. The story of a young boy from a village is one that parents share with a shudder. This boy was often left to his own his parents tended to their own matters. They were stern with him, rarely showing kindness, and often left him hungry and lonely. One evening, after being reprimanded and sent outside, the young boy wandered the darkening woods, kicking stones and wiping away tears. As he ventured deeper, he began to sense someone watching him from behind the tall, twisted trees. A soft, groaning voice began to call his name, making him pause. It sounded oddly comforting, like the lullabies his mother once sang when he was younger. He turned and saw a figure shrouded in mist, arms wide open in a welcoming embrace. The woman's face was obscured, her long hair falling in waves around her, and her figure appeared twisted and stretched like a shadow cast in the wrong light. As he approached, she whispered promises of warm food, a soft bed, and love. Entranced, the young boy took her hand, feeling it grow cold as ice as she led him into the dark. They say that the young boy was taken by Wewe Gombel that night, spirited away to a hidden realm. For days his parents searched, but it was only after they showed genuine remorse and promised to love and care for him that he returned. He was found asleep by the edge of the forest, with no memory of the terrifying spirit. This is a different kind of folklore. Like, I've never heard of this folklore anywhere. A spirit that preys on children who are neglected by families. This is the first time hearing of this. Okay. Story number 2, the Pocong. The Pocong is a spirit whose mere appearance sends villagers running indoors at night. The origin of the Pocong lies in an ancient burial custom. When a person dies, their body is wrapped in a shroud, tied at the head, feet, and around the body. Tradition dictates that after 40 days, these ties should be untied to release the spirit, allowing it to move on. But if these bonds aren't loosened, the spirit remains trapped, doomed to wander the earth in a restless state. In a small village in Sumatra, an older woman passed away. Her family was grief-stricken and hurried through the funeral rites, hoping to lay her to rest as soon as possible. They buried her at dusk, but in their haste, they forgot to untie the final knot at her feet. 2 nights later, a soft, thudding sound echoed through the village. The villagers, curious and unafraid, went out to investigate, but all they found was an eerie silence. The thudding grew louder each night, and soon people began seeing a white figure hopping near the graveyard, its face expressionless and terrifying as if carved from stone. Rumors spread and fear set in. No one dared approach the graveyard after dark. One night, a young man was walking past the cemetery, daring himself to prove the stories were nothing but superstition. As he walked, he felt a strange chill. I noticed the air grew heavy. He froze as a white figure began hopping toward him, its movements slow, deliberate, its head tilted, face exposed with eyes staring blankly. The young man tried to run, but his legs felt heavy. The Pocong stopped in front of him, its gaze unyielding. In a desperate attempt, the young man whispered prayers. The Pocong hovered there, and for a moment, the young man saw something human, a trace of sorrow behind its vacant eyes. Then with a final hop, it disappeared into the night. Villagers found the young man the next morning, too terrified to speak. It was only later that the elders realized their mistake, and the family was advised to release the spirit with a final proper ritual. This is kind of creepy, don't you think? Sad, yes, but this kind of hopping, I don't know, spirit, I don't know, gives me creeps. It's similar to the Jiangxi story, the hopping vampire I read about in my previous video. Okay, story number 3. Tuyul. In Indonesia, the Tuyul is known as a mischievous, childlike spirit that can be summoned by those seeking fortune through dark means. Described as a small, bold child with sharp eyes and a cunning smile, the Tuyul is capable of slipping through narrow spaces and sneaking into homes, stealing valuables for its master. In a famous story, there's this shopkeeper who was known for his sudden, unexplained wealth. People whispered that he had made a pact with a Tuyul, offering it small offerings of milk and sweets every night. Each morning his shop would be filled with more coins than he had collected from customers, and he seemed to be growing richer by the day. But the shopkeeper was warned. Tuyuls are never loyal and grow hungrier as time passes. One night he forgot to leave an offering, and as he slept, a faint scratching sound began at his window. He ignored it, hoping the creature would simply leave, but the scratching grew louder and more insistent. Suddenly he felt a small, cold hand clutching his arm, and he opened his eyes to see the Tuyul's gleaming eyes staring back at him. The shopkeeper fortune reversed. No matter how much he tried to appease the spirit, his wealth slipped through his fingers like sand, and he was left poorer than before, haunted by the Tuyul's laughter. Okay, I hope you're enjoying the story so far. It's really interesting to me, like different folklores from different countries. Okay. Story number 4 is titled Sundel Bolong. The Sundel Bolong is a ghostly woman with flowing hair, beautiful yet tragic, known for the gaping hole in her back that reveals her inner organs. According to legend, Sundel Bolong was once a beautiful woman who suffered a violent death. A spirit returns to seek revenge on those who harm women. Late one night, a taxi driver was driving along a deserted road when he saw a young woman standing by the side, waving him down. She wore a long white dress and her face was obscured by her hair. He picked her up, feeling an odd chill as she sat in the back seat, silent and unmoving. When he asked her where she wanted to go, she simply pointed forward. After a while, he glanced in the rear-view mirror and froze. Her hair had shifted, revealing an empty, gaping hole in her back. The driver's blood ran cold as the woman began to weep, her voice growing louder and more anguished. He realized he had picked up the infamous Sundel Bolong. Overwhelmed by fear, he swerved to the side of the road and abandoned his taxi, never looking back. When other drivers found the vehicle the next day, the passenger seat was empty, but the back seat was stained with an inexplicable darkness, as if something unholy had left its mark. Okay, story number 5. Okay, it's titled Genderuwo or Genderuwo. I am not sure it. I'm so sorry. I think it's Genderuwo. I don't know. It's quite a short story, this one. Okay. The Genderuwo is a towering, hairy creature that lurks in dense forests and mountains, known for its disturbing ability to shapeshift and seduce unsuspecting humans. Stories say that the Genderuwo will appear as an attractive person to lure its victims, trapping them in a world between reality and illusion. One such story is of one young woman who often goes to the river near her village to gather water. One evening as dusk fell, she noticed a handsome man standing by the riverbank, his gaze fixed on her. He smiled she found herself drawn to him. They began meeting regularly, and each time she felt herself slipping deeper into his charms. One night, however, as she glanced at his reflection in the water, she saw not a man, but a large, hulking beast with glowing eyes and a twisted grin. She stumbled backward, horrified, and the Genderuwo let out a booming laugh, its voice echoing through the trees. She ran back to her village, her heart racing, knowing she had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. That's super scary and unexpected story. Imagine meeting the love of your life, so handsome, only to find out it's not a man. Oh my god, it's scary as hell. Okay, last story for today is titled Leyak. In Bali, the legend of the Leyak stirs a unique blend of terror and reverence. This isn't merely a ghost, it's a practitioner of black magic, deeply entrenched in the region's mystical heritage. People speak of Leyaks as both feared and respected figures who dabble in dark art, transforming at night to seek human blood and flesh to fuel their powers. Unlike most spirits, Leyak is alive during the day, moving among others as an ordinary person, one who might live just down the street. One such story tells of a young girl whose curiosity nearly led her to an untimely demise. This young girl lived with her grandmother in a village that was known for its strict beliefs in spirits and the supernatural. Her grandmother often reminded her not to wander alone after sundown, especially near the cemetery where it was believed that the Leyaks gathered. One evening, however, the young girl found herself returning late from a friend's house. The wind was heavy with a scent of incense and frangipani as she hurried along the path back home, the village lights teeming behind her. She quickened her pace as the evening light faded into darkness, chin tangled, her organs glistening in the ghostly glow. The young girl felt a scream build in her throat, but fear held her silent. She could only watch as the head moved with a slow, deliberate grace, scanning the area as if searching for something or someone. As if sensing a presence, the head turned slowly in her direction, her blood-red eyes narrowing. The young girl froze, barely breathing, hoping the shadows concealed her. But the Leyak was already moving toward her, its mouth twisting into a ghastly grin, exposing rows of sharp, needle-like teeth. The young girl finally broke free from her paralysis and ran, her legs stumbling over roots and rocks as she fled. The sound of the Leyak's grotesque, inhuman laughter echoed behind her, getting closer and closer. She could feel its presence, the chill of death breathing down her neck. With her heart racing, she darted into the village, not daring to look back, until she was at her grandmother's door. The young girl's grandmother opened the door just as she reached it, pulling her inside and whispering urgent prayers. Together they burned incense and recited sacred prayers, hoping to ward off the dark spirit that had nearly taken the young girl's life. For days after, the young girl stayed close to her grandmother, her heart still haunted by the memory of the floating head with blood-red eyes. It is said that those who cross paths with a Leyak are forever marked, becoming prey for the dark spirits that roam the night. The young girl survived, but she would always carry that night's terror in her heart. A reminder of the ancient spirits that live in the shadows, awaiting the next wanderer who dares to cross their path. Oh my goodness, this is very scary. If I was a girl, I would have passed out immediately. Okay, today's stories were shorter but quite interesting, I think. I hope you liked them. So yeah, I'll also leave links of my previous videos below, so if you're interested you could check them out as well. Let me know what you think of today's video. Let me know if you have ideas for my next horror video, or if you have horror stories or personal encounters to share, you can send them to me. My email address can be found below or in the about section of my channel. Okay, so until I see you in my next video, take care, okay? Ciao ciao, hasta luego.